Retaking the Senate, Republicans in the upper chamber of Congress looking to the 2022 midterms after a string of senators have announced their retirements. One of those seats in North Carolina, where Republican Senator Richard Burr will not seek re-election. My next guest has already announced his intention to run for that seat. Joining me now is North Carolina Senate candidate and former North Carolina Congressman Mark Walker. Good morning to you. Let's talk about first the decision to run. What's driving you right now?
Well, I think this is something that comes out of our heart. We have served the people of North Carolina for 22 years, 16 years as a pastor, 6 years as a member of Congress. We've enjoyed working with the president on policies that have helped North Carolinians and all Americans. And that's the reason, because of our experience of being both a bridge builder and a conservative champion, people like Governor Huckabee, Senator Tim Scott, James Langford, Catherine Morris Rogers, Madison Cawthorn, and many others have already come out and publicly endorsed us. We want to continue to do what we've done in central North Carolina. We want to take it across the state, and we're having a great time traveling these days and listening from the people.
You know, North Carolina Republicans are looking to censure Senator Burr after he voted to convict former President Trump in the second impeachment trial. Senator Lindsey Graham saying that Burr's move all but guarantees that Lara Trump could be a nominee for his seat if she decided to run. Your reaction to that?
Well, in the words of, I believe it was John Ashcroft, Lindsey is always confident, but not always right. And that's what we have to focus on. Listen, we can't control what anybody else is doing. This is something that we're focused on because it's in our heart to do. Service has been part of our life for nearly a quarter of a century, and we're going to continue to do so.
I want to get your thoughts specifically on Burr's move to convict President Trump. Had you been in his shoes, would you have made the same decision or gone the other way?
No, I would not have made the decision. I would have done what I've told the American people, specifically in North Carolina, and go to Washington, D.C. and fulfill the promises, because the inconsistency, I think, is a warranted frustration. Senator Burr, earlier in the week, voted and acknowledged that this was an unconstitutional effort, yet by the end of the week he had voted for impeachment. That kind of frustration that exists really through across this state is very much warranted in the sense of going forward with this censure vote, and I support the efforts.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, Congressman, the conventional wisdom out there is that Republicans will be divided going forward, primarily over former President Trump. As you look ahead to running for this Senate seat and you look at the Republican Party, period, do you see a lot of division, or do you see opportunities to unify, particularly looking at opportunities in 2022?
Well, great question, but I think the answer to it is both. There are divisions, but there are also opportunities to bring people together. So one of the reasons that my colleagues in Congress elected me as chairman of the largest caucus in all of Congress, the Republican Study Committee, formerly chaired by Jim Jordan and Vice President Mike Pence. When I talk about that we're running as a conservative champion and a bridge builder, it's not an unwarranted promise. It's something we've been doing for 6 years.
John Hilsenrath.
Congressman, Mitch McConnell voted to acquit President Trump. As you said, you would have. He also gave a speech after that acquittal describing the president's actions leading up to and on the day of January 6th as a disgraceful dereliction of duty. Do you agree with him?
No, I do not agree with him. What I will say is there are times in my record that sometimes you have to separate the personality versus the policy. We have a history of doing so. We're going to continue to support policies that make the lives better for North Carolinians. We have a track record of doing something in many different cases on many different committees, and we want to continue to do that statewide.
Mark Walker, we thank you for your time this morning. Great to see you.
My privilege. Thank you.